After some early gains from some better than expected inflation data, the markets are giving it all back. We'll be discussing that and much more today on Money Never Sleeps. There we go. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Remember, nothing Kevin or I say is financial advice. Do your own research for making any sort of financial decisions. Kev, we started the day off with some better than expected inflation data, down to 2.8%, trending in the right direction. The markets got excited about it first. We saw crypto take a little bit of a run up before TradFi opened. Before, 15, 20 minutes before the markets began their trading day, however, things started to come back down. We saw a gap up in TradFi, a bit of a retrace at the open. Where do we stand now, and how are you feeling kind of about the state of the market?
Yeah, I might be one of the only bulls out there right now, which is absolutely wild, right? Like, when the fuck am I ever bullish? But again, I'm not using technical analysis. I'm not getting spooked by what the markets are doing right now. I'm not saying I'm bullish long term. I'm bullish till maybe March 24th, maybe actually March 21st at 3:59 Eastern Standard Time. And the reason is because we've had a really good move to the downside, and we still have plenty of time before OPEX, right? I was talking about this earlier this week. The VIX is being compressed. It's controlled demolition of the market, and you're still seeing volatility under wraps. Now we're starting to see a bit of that crush here. And there was some signs a few days ago I didn't necessarily like. It kind of showed me that, maybe some of this this fear in the market was getting a little bit, I guess oversold, or kind of just like it was overhyped how bad sentiment was on the timeline. And I took it as an opportunity to not necessarily go long, because I'm not going to try and make 3% here. I just don't care to be risking money in the markets, because if I'm dead wrong, then obviously I think there's still a good move to the downside. But I took it to buy some things that I think will, as a result of what we're about to see after OPEX, kind of go up in price. We'll talk about meme stocks a little bit later. Again, this doesn't sound like me, right? Meme stocks and bullish, this is absolutely wild. But this market is going to get whipsawed in both directions. I think that a lot of people, once that pullback happens, right before the market opens, said, oh no, actually we're going to keep going down. That's closed a ton of longs, and we wiped out a ton of shorts with that move in pre-market. So this market's going to keep doing that. It's going to be chop, chop, chop. And when we look at the charts in a little bit, we can talk about why this is happening on a liquidity-based issue as well.
Yeah, real quick, we'll just cover the numbers that came out this morning. We had year-over-year CPI, the headline number, 2.8%, down from 3% from last month, so positive move there. The core number still touch higher, 3.1%, down from 3.3. So definitely making progress. You got some people out there who are like, "Oh, time to cut." The people who haven't been paying attention or don't know really what they're talking about are ready to just cut those rates right away. I don't think. I mean, the Fed's not going to do that. So let's just remove that idea. Yeah, it's a bit premature. Let's give it a little more time here. The next Fed meeting is coming up fairly soon. Is that next Wednesday?
I think it's next Wednesday. And the fun thing about that as well, we are not probably going to have I don't think there's a meeting in April, is there not? I think it's May always, right? April gets skipped, and I think May is the one.
I think February was skipped. They might. With them having skipped one in February, I could see them doing a May one, but let me pull up.
There's definitely one in May. Dates. I don't know if there's one in April. That's the question.
Sorry. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a second. Yeah. But yeah, the Fed's not cutting next week. That's not gonna be a thing.
And Japan is going to be really interesting too, because their rate hike decision is on the 18th in Tokyo, not the 18th for us. They will be ahead of us in terms of how that rate decision goes. I don't think that they're going to move I think the yen's going to have some problems, but I don't think they're going to move before the Fed moves here in the U.S. So that's going to be really interesting to watch too, right? Or I'm dead wrong, and Japan moves, and Powell has to counteract that somehow. And maybe that's what screws markets over in the coming weeks. And this is a short-lived rally, but the data is really good today. I mean, I think it's really good. I don't believe it. But also, I think the data yesterday was pretty good too, and I don't believe it. And I think the markets are going to start feeling like maybe we should believe this. Maybe everything's okay now. Maybe Trump just had to wash out some of the froth in the market, and then whipsaw right after OPEX.
So you are correct. No meeting in April. Meeting in early May, May 7th.
Good luck, everyone.
So it's funny. The CME Fed Watch tool is now showing a 99% chance of no cut next week. That's actually up from 94% a week ago and 96% yesterday. So
I believe
that positive inflation number has people thinking that like the Fed is once again in no rush. They don't have to be. They're getting what they want. They haven't broken anything yet. They're still trying to get that inflation number down to 2. So why would they be in a hurry to cut the rates if nothing is broken in the financial system?
It's like acid in my mouth and I can taste it. Point Break, if you remember that movie, amazing movie, 1991. The reason why I bring that up is because if that's the case, no rate cuts, there's nothing to panic about going into OPEX. They're going to rally the son of a bitch. I could feel it. I know it. And then we're going to get that VIX window open up right after OPEX. And then that's when the shit's going to hit the fan. April will not be a fun month. There's a good chance we could get an emergency rate cut if something breaks after OPEX. I'm just being serious. Like, I will go out there and say that there is a chance that the Fed has to meet and maybe we get an emergency rate cut a little bit earlier, or in May when they do meet up, it's a little bit more than we expect. And that could juice the markets in the summer too. It could.
You brought up emergency rate cut right before this. I saw that doofus, Adam Pompliano or whatever, tweeted that like, oh, inflation's down to 2%. The Fed needs to cut rates immediately. I'm just sitting there like, brother, if the Fed cuts rates immediately, it's because something really bad happened. So I don't think you want that immediate rate cut as much as you think you do.
Not at all. I do think that there is a 40% chance we could get one if something breaks in the market, which I think that there's a lot of things in Asia that could break. I think they're just kind of holding their shit together until this date in OPEX, because let's actually just go to the charts right now. I want to pull up the VIX because this is where we saw the move and why I think that the move is going to be to the upside now. But when we look at the VIX right over here, I mean, this is just disgusting how much this has moved up. When we've looked at the VIX in the past under, say, the Biden administration, it never wanted to touch that top trend line. It did everything it could not to. And this thing was just climbing. It's like a stairway to heaven. It was going straight up. Next thing you know, it's an elevator down. We're down 10% today. And the thing that was really interesting to me was not only the stochastic RSI was starting to roll over, but it was how the market dropped so much and we didn't get any spike above 30. We never went above 30 in this. And that's absolutely insane. And a lot of people were longing the VIX at 30, and that has not necessarily been a great thing to do in the past. If we look at the VIX futures, this is the one that was kind of giving me the signs. When I look at the hourly chart, obviously these are market opens, market closes. In the blue, you can see that we were gapping down a lot. We had a really good move to the upside. We had this massive gap down. And when we started to climb up again, we reversed. And we were testing this level of support right here in the hourly, and we broke under it, tested again, we broke down from it. I think the VIX still has ways to go. Now, going back to the other chart, and this is just kind of shows you what people are expecting for implied volatility moving forward. The fact that we're at 21.95 and the VIX was at, it was at 22, 23 or so, and the VIX was at like 27. It just didn't add up. Now we look at the VIX again, and we look at this chart that I pulled up again on the daily because this is more important. If these markets really wanted to fuck everyone over, and again, I don't necessarily want this to happen because I do want to get into this volatility trade and I do want it to take off. I'm not in it right now, just so everyone knows. Max pain would be below the 50 moving average, below the 200. We would see volatility get crushed to 15.13. Why is this important? Because then right after OPEX, that's when that window of volatility can come in. And because people have to cover so quickly and things just, accelerate so bad in the sector, maybe it's the yen unwind or it's the tariffs, which are coming in April. That's another thing we have to look forward to, April 2nd. And then we also have the trade data the day after that to see how things are actually going on in the world economy. This is the perfect storm to just screw everyone leading up to that. And then next thing you know, everyone is out of the puts. No one had any puts close in the money come OPEX, and then you just whip this thing straight up. And again, we're getting very close. I think this says May 5th is when this breaks out. Maybe it breaks out a little bit earlier. I think that we're going to see volatility get crushed, come back strong. I mean, if we're looking at the S&P today, yeah, we're up 0.75%. I mean, from the bottom, this isn't necessarily a great move. I don't think anyone thinks that we bottom. A lot of people are probably thinking this is a dead cat bounce. However, 2 days of good data we've gotten already. Volatility is pulling back. When volatility gets crushed, that's when you start to see the market kind of push to the upside. Other things that we're looking at too. Where is it? The yen. Looks like it's in a bit of a bottom here, and it's going to try and rally. We got the little thing there, so we got to play the video. But I'm not necessarily bearish on this right now. That'll come to bite us in the ass in probably about 3 weeks. Not today. Looking at this here, I think we're going to try and rally, get back in this huge, massive channel. And again, it's fair that the first time it retests it, maybe we get back into it, but then something happens. And again, with the yen, the thing that you don't want to see is the yen move to the downside, which is actually means the yen is getting stronger here against the US dollar. If it does it in a rapid motion, when we look here at what happened in August, you see that it went from Wednesday at 155 all the way to Monday morning at 141. I mean, that's what? An 8% move in roughly 4 trading days or so. You don't want to see that. I mean, we've had some pretty good moves to the downside from here, but they've kind of been counteracting that with a lot of Forex intervention. We're seeing the dollar right now kind of in a weird spot, obviously trying to battle the tariffs. I think it's bottoming out here. If we use our parabolic trend, we're probably going to be climbing up here, saves the yen for a period of time. Maybe we have a flash crash in the dollar, and that makes the yen a lot stronger. And next thing you know, that's the unwind right there. But there's a lot of things that are just showing that they're turning around for the short term, right? You see the NASDAQ today kicking ass, is up 1.29%. If it regains the 200 moving average, especially the S&P, if it regains the 200 moving average, I think we're looking at maybe testing the 50 by the time it comes to meet it. I think the two are going to meet together. NASDAQ's going to be more tricky. I think if NVIDIA could start pushing to the upside, we start seeing something like 130 and Tesla starts bouncing a bit here, there's a very good chance we could get to the 50 moving average for both of them. But I think that might be the sign, especially if it's around that 21st, 24th of March. I would be kind of skeptical that that's going to keep pushing up above the 50 moving average. So that's kind of how I see the TradFi situation right now. Cautiously bullish for the next 2 weeks. After that, Bear Kevin will come back.
All right, let's look at crypto for the time being. That has been like TradFi has shown some signs of life today.
Mm-hmm.
Crypto just looks like it's done. Like it's just that bounce this morning was so weak and so short-lived. I mean, you look at Bitcoin, I guess doing okay, but then ETH is just a big floppy dick. Like nothing is going to save that right now. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of that comes down to Bitcoin dominance, right? Here's the thing with the bounce that we've gotten. I think this is Bitcoin's time to shine, not necessarily the others. And again, Bitcoin, I don't think it's going to go to 93K or anything like that. I think it's going to trade relatively conservative compared to TradFi. And then you probably see crypto go first before TradFi around that same time period that I get for OPEX. But looking at Bitcoin dominance here, I mean, you're at 62.13%. ETH has dropped so much in the past, few months. It makes it really easy for Bitcoin to stay relatively high compared to other alts, right? The market cap of ETH is just dropping significantly. And sure, you have some other competitors like XRP or Not so much Solana anymore. But maybe just XRP. Nah, this is Bitcoin's market. There was never an alt season to begin with. Maybe you get one in the summer. Maybe that. But looking at this right here with Bitcoin, this is what we're looking at. We're within a wedge. You're probably gonna come test the top of this, which might be 88K if you get a rally in the next few days. If you don't get a rally in the next few days, you just go a little bit lower, 86. You're gonna be hugging the both of these, I think, pretty strongly, right? We found the bottom here, lost it, bounced right through it. You're below the 200 moving average. I don't know if you'll get above the 50 unless it's some major, fake out. But I do think that things are kind of lining up for, what is this, March 27th, March 28th, that being when Bitcoin's going to make a move by then, at least by then. I think it's going to be either to the upside or the downside, more so the downside, I think. This is our little dead cat bounce / fake out market rally that we're going to get. But I think crypto is going to be weaker across the board. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. I don't think it's going above the 50 moving average, though. That's just my personal opinion. That being said, just looking across the board, I don't know. Maybe it's just not the time to be in crypto. I'm not financial advice. I just don't think it's what everyone hoped it would be under Trump.
Not yet, at least. Hope maybe.
Agreed. Yeah.
Maybe down the road. I think it's a good time to be paying attention to the point where where you want to start accumulating more, but not, don't live in the charts right now. Like, it's just not going to be good for you.
Oh yeah, charts do not matter.
It's springtime. Like, set your DCAs. Don't sweat it. Come back to our channel a couple times a week. We'll update you. But go enjoy your summer and live your life, and not stress about this stuff right now. Like, it'll come back in the future. Yeah,
and this is probably something I've never done on this show. I'm pretty sure we will go through how many 300 episodes that we've done. I think Nvidia's got a bounce here. It's bullish. I'm looking at this, and this is the daily chart. I'm looking at the 50 moving average. I think we're going to get just above it. I think it's very possible that we get close to about 133, 135 area, and then we kind of see a breakdown from there. But if we can reclaim the 200 moving average, I think we're going to see a strong push to the upside above the 50 moving average. And again, that's what, from where we currently are, 15% move at least, 16 or so once we get to the 130 level. I think that it's very possible. The thing is the data tomorrow going to be bullish? And if the data tomorrow comes back at expectations, or it's just better than people were kind of expecting, then you have 3 days of really good data that have kind of came through, and you're going to have Powell speak next week, and he's probably going to be somewhat dovish going into OpEx, since he was apparently dovish last week when he spoke. There is nothing that really has a reason for this market to crash. Now, that being said, why would this market rally this entire time leading into OpEx? We've seen how bad this market's been selling off. There's been no liquidity whatsoever. And every time that there was a small little bounce, it got sold off initially, right? I don't think the people who have all the stock that have huge bags that want to unload are able to sell without the price just dropping significantly. We want to see distribution. And if I'm expecting anything that's going to screw, people who are holding some of these contracts, these options, if they want to screw people out of the money, obviously a rally is going to be beneficial for them, but also it's going to be beneficial for people who want to offload more at a higher price. Like I've said, the rally to 134 for Nvidia, I mean, kind of where they started selling it, right? This white line right here. If you get back to there, that's a pretty good move. I mean, let's see. From this bottom, see here, that's a 25% move up in Nvidia. And then if they could sell it from, 135 again, down to where it probably goes to sub 100, we're looking at north of a 30% drop in Nvidia. So imagine the swing trade that some people are going to make on just something like that. I just think that there's a ton of things that could happen in these next 2 weeks that make everyone fools and buy into this market, and then they just drop it on it in April. So that's just one stock that I was looking at. Is there any other? Oh, fuck. All right. Go ahead. I'm trying to just get everything through tonight because we're not going to be here for a little bit. I don't think the markets are going to crash where we're gone. My opinion. I think you and me both being gone are just going to cancel each other out. But when we come back, maybe they cancel each other out. GME, I'm still buying it here. I think 18 is a level that's going to be really interesting. But if it gets down to 18, I'll obviously buy, some more. And the same thing with FFAI, which I talk shit about all the time. But again, there's a reason why I talk about these and why I'm interested in this trade. And a lot of this has to do with what we're what we're seeing in the markets with liquidity. UBS still holds Credit Suisse's shorts on GameStop. We also know that UBS has been using other stocks to counterbalance when GameStop pumps. If we look to May of 2024, it's this huge move to the upside, man. FFAI. I think they fucked around with some of this. Some of this looks really wacky. There's like parts of the data that are missing, but FFAI shot up to $162 a share in May of 2024 as GameStop shot up. We know that UBS also bought 33,000 shares, I believe, back in January, on January 9th, which, if you remember the GameStop tweet from Roaring Kitty, it said 109 to 420. 109 being January 9th, 420 being the 417 OPEX. So we're getting very close to those levels. And if we do see a market pullback, maybe these things are fairly cheap. I'm just going to keep accumulating them. Liquidity is low. There is no QE in sight. You're going to see a massive cover because they have to deliver these shares. You're probably going to see this thing just skyrocket because if there's not enough shares out there, then people are going to be selling them at an extreme price. Like GameStop right now is at $22. We're looking north of 64, maybe even close to $100 a share. Not saying that's the trade for everyone, but that's the trade I'm looking at. And I'm using other trades that they're using, such as the FFAI one, to kind of make money in both directions off of their predicament. So just one school of thought that I have before we go into OPEX next week. So, anything could happen, and I'd rather have my bags packed than, get caught with my shorts down.
All right. Don't get caught with your shorts down, please. That is going to do it for today. Kevin and I both traveling over the next week and a half or so. So it's going to be, probably not until
Friday,
Monday, the 21st.
That's OPEX
of March. Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun episode. And then that Monday will be fun too. All right. I'm jacked.
All right. Well, we'll be back for that. Appreciate those of you who joined us today. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. My internet, I think it's just StreamYard. I don't even think it's my internet. I think it's just StreamYard. Absolutely sucks. Appreciate all of those of you who joined us today. Stay safe in the market.